What's going on, Cancer? And welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and I hope you're feeling fantastic today. So, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really is just the greatest, Cancer. And dig heaps us going. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. So, the purpose of the channel, for those of you who have Cancer in your placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, Mars, maybe even Pluto, that might be a stretch there, Cancer, but if you do, even if you know, on the off chance, Cancer, this one's for you. Doing a lot. And I do tarot card spreads based on our ruler here, the good old Moon. Rhonda really is a great fill-in for the Moon. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, and when she... Oh, I may have to put that... Well, I just had an idea, Cancer. And when she's going void, of course, just all of those lunar shenanigans. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one, so take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me. Never force a reading on a situation, and everything will be fantastic, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it. Your space has been cleansed. Crystals, feeling lovely. There's great energy all around here, Cancer. In Cancer, the moon is in Scorpio. And with the moon being in Scorpio, this is an interesting energy for the moon, because the moon is technically in fall, where energy starts to fall when in Scorpio, but the moon still, being a water planet, is still very in an intuitive placement for the moon. But you may notice, Cancer, that your intuition is sharp, and Scorpio brings intuition in a very deep kind of way. They really have they're like the detectives of the Zodiac, and really kind of pull things from the hidden there, Cancer. But you may be feeling a little more intensely during this energy as well, so this is something to be mindful of. May notice too, Cancer, that you might feel a little more kind of reserved to yourself, and maybe observing a lot kind of more, really kind of. And Scorpio energy, for, when we're in that Scorpio energy, it is interesting to kind of feel that, like, it almost feels like there's this, I don't know, Cancer, there's this current or something that's kind of, you find it's like you do get a different sense for the ether, and it's, you made something to pay attention to, Cancer. Scorpio energy is very just naturally magnetic. They really have a pull about them that it's, there's a, they deal with some, it's interesting energy, so you may notice that be mindful of your energies, Cancer, as far as just like how what energies we're giving off and what energies we may be attracting. So just another thing to kind of check with Scorpio energy there. But also, this is actually, I feel like, a really dope energy for with us being in the first quarter phase as well, because now things are starting to pick up speed, because Scorpio also deals with change, Cancer. And this is about, like, making sure that our action, well, with the first quarter, is about making sure our actions align with our words, that we're facing these challenges. Oh, I'll be able to talk here in a second, Cancer. Challenges with resilience, Scorpio energy, and have that drive, and almost, and just really that motivation to really get this thing accomplished here. It's like you're reaching, because when the moon is at that quarter phase is when she's forming her first square aspect with the sun. So squares bring about those challenges and things. So it's good energies that's going to be pushing you, Cancer. But it's we're getting over that first hump, and then getting up into that full moon energy. So just something to think about there. Things are starting to pick up speed a little bit. And then last few things. These readings that I do, they're not gender-specific readings, so apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situations. And then the decks that I'm working with, I've included links for them down in the description box below, so definitely check that out if you're interested in Cancer. But also down below are some links for some other readers that I like watching. Very intuitive group. Actually, one of them is a Scorpio Cancer, so definitely check that out. But let's get to your first card here. Oh, look at this Leo energy. We got the 9th card of Leos here, which is the checkered flag. And look at you, Cancer. We were talking about picking up speed. Now we're about to reach the finish line. Look at you. And with this card, this is a card of conclusion, outcome, finale, completion, verdict, settled, results, signaling the end, Finishing first, achievement, culmination, final chapter, endings, and relieved. And the energies that are coming through here, Cancer, are like the strongest one is the results here and like the outcome. And I feel like with this, it's while we're going through these lunar phases, when we decide to make whatever, whether it's something like a habit that we're either working out or maybe something new that we're working in, I feel like it is really paying attention to how the results do affect you, Cancer, because it's one thing to set these intentions, and it's just like I feel like sometimes, when we get caught up with setting this intention and also the routine of life, like, with just like everyday life, that I feel that sometimes that thing that we're working on can get almost like, I almost feel like it can get kind of lost in like the day to day. And I feel like it's just taking a moment either each day, at the end of the day, just to acknowledge just like the fact that, let's say if we've been wanting to make it a point to walk every day, just like, like, great job, body. I felt good, got the move out of the day. Something along those lines, or even like a workout, or maybe even just like if we're changing like a diet. Let's say working in more. Let's say we noticed that like spicy foods don't have been irritating us, and we've been kind of cutting this out, or maybe even finding like alternative stuff. Bringing a different kind of heat. Whatever that's feeling like, and just really kind of paying attention to how this stuff does just raise your confidence. And if on the opposite end, if we don't like the results, it's like, how can we tweak this stuff? How can we change? What do we need to do to, again, almost feel like, because Scorpio energy also deals with power, Cancer, and I feel like that this is just like, there's power in that when we do see those kind of like, see those tangible results. And I do feel that I do feel like it's a great indicator too of just like, because that's manifestation. When you hear that manifestation, creating all this stuff, it's just like even doing like routines and things. That's a sense. It's like it took action, it took drive, Mars energy, Pluto energy to get to this state of completion and autonomy and things. But I like this, Cancer. I feel like that this is just, and let that be like a motivator too, like when we do find ourselves in like that first challenge, that first quarter phase, when you think about the energies or the different kind of goals that you set for yourself in the past, whether, and then and remembering how that made you feel. And it's just like, right, this is part of the push, like that first real kind of, but I did it once and I can absolutely do it again. But let's get some tarot on this, Cancer. Cancer, let's see what we got here. Oh, look at you. I love this card. Oh, and the sun. All right, Cancer, I'm with it. So you have the Two of Stars, the Eight of Stars, the Knight of... Ooh, all these stars, Cancer, your constellation. The Knight of Stars, the Sun card, and then one of the other special major arcanas, one of the special major arcanas in this deck, which is the Self card. And, I mean, Cancer, take a good... I know your mirrors, you could use a little cleaning there, Cancer. My bad. But with this card, I do feel like that is... take a good look at yourself there, Cancer. And I don't even just mean, like, whatever kind of mirror. And I don't even mean just in, like, the physical, sense, Cancer, because you're beautiful. But it's more so in the sense of just, like, how are we, again, just taking like a real kind of deep look at the ways that we've been investing in ourselves, how we've been working in these routines, how this, and honestly, Cancer, I like this, like how patience and perseverance with the Knight of Stars here, because the Knight of Stars is considered the slowest moving knight in the deck. And, doing, even though the moon is, the quickest luminary, doing like, as far as like doing a lap around the Zodiac, it's still, 30 days is a long time to really kind of, or, 20 some odd days is a, a tough, like a long time to really commit to something, get things knocked down, considering too how many ways that life can, potentially throw you off balance in here. But I do feel that there's a sense of remembering that what our goal is, that sunlight, the finish line here. I love this sun card in this deck. But Cancer, it can be, because there are going to be times too when we're working on these things, and we're going to feel real good just kind of starting out here, and then it is that when that first challenge kind of comes in, it can get to this place of doubt, like, why am I doing this? It's like, is this really helping me out here? Things were easier when I was doing it this way, but it's like, where the things may have been easier, Cancer, was it elevating yourself, or was it, or were we, just kind of leaning just on, it's almost like, it's not really like a choosing to stay stuck, but it's almost like it's like that's almost like kind of putting ourselves in like a hanged man situation where we're just like, it's, and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with, like, how do I want to put this, Cancer? It's not like I'm saying that we need to work on it, because like it's a lot, doing in the change all the time, but I do feel like that if we do find ourselves in a state of stagnancy, or where things have, if we haven't been pushed for a while, or just, it's kind of some, there's just something like here, Cancer, just with the Knight of Stars, like just keeping that, it's like keeping the self in mind, like really, I'm getting a real strong, kind of sense of like presence has been kind of like the big or kind of a big energy that I've been noticing that's been kind of coming through here, but as of late, but it is really kind of, I don't know, just like really tuning into the self, Cancer, and just paying attention to how these things either raise your vibration or they don't, and then just remembering that it's all a matter of tweaks and things, Cancer. See, that's good. Cancer. Look at all these knights. Alright, Cancer, let's see what else we got here. We got the kind of, okay. So we have the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles here, Cancer. And, Queen, well, yeah, Queen of Stars. But, with this energy, Cancer, I kind of feel like with this too, that sometimes when we have that like passionate start, sometimes when we do get derailed, it can I almost feel like that there's this sense of that, like, maybe for some, when we do happen to get derailed, that it just like, well, oh crap, well that happens, like, well maybe I'll try again next month, and just like, as opposed to, just like picking up where we left off, maybe like, let's say we happen to skip a workout day or something like that, it's just like, that's fine. Instead, and here's the thing too, because maybe this is more kind of the energy what I'm getting. It's like, if we do happen to miss a workout day, for example, sometimes we can stay in this energy of, instead of like, we can be sometimes like where it's like we'll beat ourselves up, where it's like, man, I could have been doing, I should have done this, I could have done that, and like, like it gets in this like sort of like low self-esteem type of place. And I feel that there is a reminder, or like a remembering, when we do, if we have, when life happens and we happen to get off our routine for like, let's say a day or like a little bit, it's remembering where one life happens. I almost feel like with the Queen of Pentacles here, but it's more so just like, how are we just gonna set up your future, tomorrow's you, for success? Because it's just like, especially if we notice after we've, let's say, skipped a couple days, and we're noticing that we're feeling a little tight or lethargic or things like that, it's just like, okay, I don't want to get back into where I wasn't moving, so it's just like, what can I do instead of beating myself up right now? It's how can I get myself motivated again, get into this state of, getting more results, and getting the outcome that you really want, Cancer. I hope that makes sense. All right, Cancer. Let's see. No, okay, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I've just been kind of playing around with it. I thought normally there's some sort of rhyme or reason, but I was like, nah, we're just gonna kind of leave them out, Cancer. But let's see what some challenges that may come with this energy. Okay. All right, Cancer. Let's see what we got here. All right, look at the. So you got the Three of Wands, the Page of Wands, and then the Justice card here, Cancer. And I do feel like for some challenges, Cancer, it's when we start this thing, you know, when again, you know, like it's when we. I almost feel like with this energy, Cancer, maybe some challenges are it's like it's feeling that need to it's where I'm all for expansion, Cancer, and growing, and always growing, always learning. I do feel like that there's a balance just with the Justice here about needing to make sure that we are it's like enjoying and taking a moment to celebrate the wins, like because there's sometimes Cancers like where where I try to make it a point, like every time I get in like a lunar return to set an intention. It is like sometimes like I'll just like kind of repeat one to really kind of solidify it and really just kind of appreciate like what has been going down, and it's like maybe even like add something in on that later if it makes sense, but excuse me, it almost yeah, I almost feel like an energy of just making sure that we are just like appreciating the growth as well. That we are taking the time to kind of look around and really just see. It was interesting actually, Cancer. I was doing something on my laptop and happened to be looking back at. I forgot I was looking for something, and then I happened to stumble upon like an old video that I had recorded for someone, and just to see where I was then compared to where I am now it's like man, and like really like just taking in that moment of just seeing how what when you put in energy, like when you start something, how that affects, how that manifests. Like the Justice card could be like a card of a cause and effect as well, and I really like this Justice card as well because it has that, just like how she has in the Two of Pentacles here, that infinity sign above her head. And usually there's one in the, oh well, this is something in the Strength card, but I like how her cloak is covered in infinity signs, and I feel like that there's this, where we are constantly growing all the time, Cancer, and just sometimes there's a moment to it's it's let me get a little bit more on this Justice card. Like there's this little there's some words there. Cancer. Cancer. Oh, yeah. Okay, so interesting. So the Justice card is clarified by the Two of Crystals, the Two of Wands, the Seven of Cups, and then the Three of Cups here, Cancer. And I like that. Yeah, like there's this energy of, I feel like there's so many ways that we can grow. Just thinking with the Seven of Cups that Okay, so Cancers, this energy that's coming through here, I feel like that there is, I'm kind of switching gears a little bit, some other challenges. With the Seven of Cups, I feel like that there are so many ways that like all of us, I'm sure that we think about where we want to grow. It's like I want to do this, I want to do that, I'd like to do that. Like that. It's like as soon as we knock off one, like 10 other things seem to, like the universal stock on like 10 other things to think about, and I feel that sometimes that can even get us to a place of overwhelm, where it's like, it's just like, which one do we challenge? Because considering too, you got the Two of Crystals. This is another one of Libra's cards. This is the Moon in Libra, and it's like we can get into this place of like, which one do I choose, what makes more sense or something along those lines, and we can get to this state of like overwhelm. It's just like it's all becomes too much, and it's just like, how are we even going to achieve it all? But I do feel like Cancer, if that's something that's resonating with you, something to think about, that the fact that we do have so many ways that we can grow, that is something to celebrate. That's exciting, because if there were no more ways to grow, then your journey's good. You know what I mean? And it's I feel that there is a, yeah, really just kind of, it's this balance of, it's like there's this putting in this work for these choices, and then like making sure that we are just celebrating all the ways you have grown, and all the ways that you will continue to grow here, Cancer. I like that. And just maybe even like keeping that, letting that be your motivator, like remembering the how. I love that all about this self here, Cancer. All right, Cancer. Let's get some advice from Pluto and Mars. That's quite a dynamic duo there. Thank you. All right, Cancer, last little bit here. Yeah, there's my gutty Empress. Oh, and came out with Libra. I love it. All right, Cancer. So you have the Nine of Crystals, the Nine of Wands, the Four of Crystals, the Page of Stars, and then the Empress. Let's go ahead and switch back over here, Cancer. And so I feel like some advice here, Cancer. I do feel like with all this stuff that, when we're putting all this energy towards all this change and things along those lines, Cancer, I do feel that there is a need to make sure that we're just stopping and again just kind of taking a break, appreciate what you've done, and not, I almost feel like it's realizing that we don't need to to necessarily like push all the time. I almost is what feels like that this energy is going. It's like the, because I feel like maybe for some there may be this energy of just like getting caught in our heads. It's like if we don't feel that we're, I don't know, it's like if we're not actively doing something. Or not feel like with the Page of Crystals being here, something along those lines, that it gets in, I don't know, it feels like maybe we feel like it'll affect our abundance, or that it's like we're not growing, or something along those lines. It feels very interesting kind of pressure here, I almost feel like, that we may be putting on ourselves, Cancer. And I feel some advice, if that's something that's resonating with you. It's even the Empress working towards her stability and things, because the Empress is hella abundant. She's always, thinking about her, security in all foundations. But even the Empress needs to take a little time to just kind of recharge her batteries, just kind of kick back and relax and enjoy the fruits of her labor that she's been putting in all the time. It's, there's growth in that as well, to really kind of, it's like channeling that other side of her, that more kind of Taurus energy, because we got the Libra here, where it's like I feel like we're creating the beauty and the things like that, but now it's like appreciating the beauty as well, and then nurturing that, and yeah, I hope that makes sense, because that's I like that energy there. And then I also feel like with this Cancer, that if we haven't been feeling that the results that we've been getting are what we want, or if this hasn't been getting you towards feeling like we've got like made steps towards this Empress state, even if, let's say for example, if we've been working on, let's say trying to make like running just like 3 miles a day, something along those lines. Can't say I'm gonna work out. I actually did a workout today, so I'm on a workout kick. But it's like, let's say like maybe we've been working on this thing for a while, and like we expect to like maybe different results or to be further along, and it's like it said we wanted to be at 2 miles by, before the, or at least a mile by the first quarter, and then we're only at like a half a mile, maybe even a quarter of a mile. But it's just like where that can be discouraging, Cancer, it can also be enlightening, because they even thinking about that quarter mile that we got, even if we went even like a tenth of a mile, that's more than what we were doing before, and that is a step in, a step in the Empress's direction. And it doesn't matter, I feel, with the Knight of Stars or the Knight of Wands, it doesn't matter how slow or how fast we approach this thing, Cancer, but I feel like as long as we are taking those steps towards that things, that's what counts at the end of the day. you know um, I was actually speaking of working out. I was one of the people I was listening to, working out with. She was talking about how when you think about like strength training, like it's not all about just like lifting real fast and things. It's like being able to control it in every aspect. Like actually, she's like, I should be able to tell you to stop at any given point and have that sense of control there. But it's like the results. It's like, even if we in like, she was like, in like a 30-second interval, if you just happen to get one really good rep in, that your body logs that in. It's not like where, oh, I could have been, you know what I mean, Cancer? It's like sometimes I feel like we can even get to space where it's just like, gosh, I wish could have did that more, and you totally can do that more, maybe next lunar cycle, however long it takes. But all right, Cancer, I think I'm going to leave that there. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. If anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and share this, Cancer. Because it is like, sometimes I think like we getting to that finish line can seem so far away. Sometimes it can be a little discouraging, and we can kind of maybe potentially beat up on ourselves a little bit. But both the Sun and Venus are in Leo. Are in Leo right now, and Venus actually just went retrograde, so not too long ago. But we're in a time of really kind of elevating the self there, Cancer. So yeah, definitely share this and have all these empresses, because you're all empresses in my book, Cancer. Take a good look at yourself. Tell yourself you're an empress. Ooh, excuse me. And then subscribe, hit that bell button. You get notified when I have these videos each week or each day. And I'm on this meditation app, Insight Timer, and I started a group on there called Zodiacs Raising the Vibration. It's just a group that posts positive affirmations, encouraging messages, things along those lines. And then as the group grows, oh, got a glare there. As the group grows, I'm going to post different healing music, positive affirmations, guided meditations, things along those lines, and do like I'll nickname them little segments, like self-care, either self-care. I like self-care with the Empress. That's what started that off. Or shining with the sun, shining bright with the sun. I like that. But definitely check that out, Cancer. And then lastly, check your, because you got check your Sun, your Venus, your Mars, your Pluto. Check your chart, Cancer. And then I'm on over to my other channel, the Alchemist 8. So what am I doing? What do I do, Cancer? I do videos weekly there. It's a good old time. And all that housekeeping down in the description box below. But let me get you surprise cards here, so I can get you out here, Cancer. All this wands you're building up here. Got the 8 of Wands here, Cancer. And I like this because I almost feel like for some, because the 8 of Wands can be like a card of messages, and I almost feel like it's sending, like if we're, especially when we're working on ourselves, Cancer, it's like sending little messages to yourself to uplift you a little bit. It's just like, man, I really brought it today. Or it's like, like, all right, did one more, let's say we're researching to maybe go for that, like a promotion or something. It's just like, put in that effort for that promotion, like I've been doing this thing. It's like, I'm just like, I feel like if we, just for some, it's like if we, well, really for all of us, Cancer, getting in that energy of just like, I don't know, like more, like just getting like gratitude and things, and telling yourself these kind of like positive messages, that it gets the energies like increasing more there, Cancer. But I also kind of feel with this 8 of Wands that, we get 2 today, Cancer. I also feel like with this, the 8 of Wands, if it's just like, if things haven't been feeling as fast as we, I love that, haven't been feeling as fast as we want to, Cancer, it is remembering, because your first card here, you got the horsetail card, which is the patience card in reverse, and this is ruled by Saturn and Venus. We got Venus here, Cancer, and it's like, so we're halfway there, but now it's that discipline side of it, that Because Saturn, when we get into Saturn energy, it is about time and it's about patience. They rule over Aquarius and Capricorn, and they that energy takes a while to ramp up. It gains wisdom with time. But I also kind of feel with this energy, Cancer, because you got the Mandrake card here for your other card, which is the sensuality card, and this is ruled by Neptune and Venus. So I feel like there's a one for some, like, because when I think of sensuality, I'm more so thinking, we're thinking about the five senses, and I feel like there's again, like that when we're talking about that presence, there's that presence that's needed there. But I'm also getting with that just of being mindful of that sometimes, in order to, when we're not feeling good about where things are going, Cancer, that we can, because Seven of Cups, that can be for me a prelude to a devil moment. So, and Neptune energy kind of deals with that, and Venus is very very sensual energy, considering that she rules over Taurus. So just something to think about there. Be mindful of escapism and things, Cancer, especially if we maybe haven't been feeling as confident as of late, things haven't been going our way, just being mindful of that. So I think I'm going to leave that there. So you stay safe out there, Cancer, getting these results, working on the self-improvements, and because you're doing fantastic, Cancer. So it takes a lot of energy sometimes, but you're doing it and doing it well. You keep eyes on the moon. Get yourself a. I actually was telling a friend, she was like, there's another one. She has a sister at this shop that we're at, and I'm thinking about getting it for her, but for this friend. We'll see where that's at, Cancer. But keep eyes on the moon. Meditate with her. It's a good old time. And I will catch you on the next one tomorrow. I was going to say later. Tomorrow.